that's kind of where we are right now. Like, it's a very undetermined place. Like, a lot happened, that wasn't necessarily shown or aired. And
Right.
I think we both really have a lot of growing to do.
Hey everyone, it's Stephanie with PopCulture.com, and today I am joined by Love Island Season 4 star Nadjha. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and we have a lot to catch up on, and first and foremost, I wanted to know, catch me up to speed on what's been going on since you left the villa. We had a whole situation going on there with Jeff. I actually thought I might be getting to chat with the both of you, but I'm glad that I get to see your perspective on things. So catch me up to speed on what's been going on.
So after the villa?
Yeah, when you guys left together.
Yeah, so we left. Obviously, we didn't have our phones for a few days, so we weren't able to speak to one another. We were, we left on like very rocky, like a very rocky road. As soon as I got my phone back, I DM'd Jeff and I was like, hey, like we like obviously still need to talk. Like there's like, you don't have just one conversation and like we have cameras on us at all times. It's a lot of pressure, like, and I really wanted to have like just a real conversation with him, like, just one-on-one. And I was traveling all day. So he texted me and he was like, hey, it's Jeff. Like, I know you're traveling. Like, just let me know, like, whenever, da 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 da. And we talked, and I just said that I was like sad how everything ended between us, because it was just like, like I think my biggest takeaway was like it made me so upset how many people didn't think our relationship was real. And I think Jeff and I both know that like that wasn't the case. Like it was very much real.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were talking, like I just told him, like, like everything I felt was there. Like it was just there was a lot of red flags in our relationship. Like there was a lot of jealousy and insecurities. And like that last day was just my last straw. And he apologized. He was like, I know that like I got jealous a lot. And he was like, but I just felt like, I had your back. And at the moment, like maybe you didn't have my back. And we just kind of like went back and forth a little and like discussed like what went down. And honestly, like we haven't said much more after that. Like we like text here and there. And like I told him that like my family was sad that like everything ended the way it did. And like my aunts were like rooting for us. So they were like heartbroken. Like when I came back, they were like, come over right now and tell us what happened. So I had to drive and they still were like just so sad. My mom was sad. She was like, she loved him. And so that's kind of where we are right now. Like it's a very undetermined place. Like a lot happened, that wasn't necessarily shown or aired. And
Right.
I think we both really have a lot of growing to do. And we really haven't discussed like where we're going to go from this really. But I just can't say like that our time is done just yet. Like, I don't feel like that. I'm not sure if that he might feel like that. He might be like, nah, I'm done. But that's not what he's voiced to me yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like a very like, I don't know, iffy, undetermined place. And I think we're just trying to figure that out. Like I'm kind of trying to figure it out. I'm sure he's trying to figure it out. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
And how long has it been since you left the villa actually? Like what is the time frame looking like?
I think 6 days. We don't know what day it is in there. Like
Okay,
I don't know the day. I don't know the time. I don't know what's going on. But I think I left on like a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked for the first time, I think like on a Sunday. But my timing could be off. Like it could have been Tuesday it could be a week. I don't think it's been more than a week.
Yeah, but still a week is still not that long of a span of time since you've been out of the villa actually, and like getting back into the swing of things just in your normal everyday life too. So I imagine it's a lot to deal with.
It's a lot. It's been a lot to handle, but I feel like I'm getting it. I'm trying to figure it out the best I can.
Yes, right. And, let's go back into that decision and that intense conversation that you both had on your last day in the villa. You did mention that there were some red flags in the relationship that you saw beforehand. And I just wanted to know, what really made you decide in that moment to call things off? Of course, we did see the intense confrontation the night before, but I just wanted to know a little bit more about the exact decision on that day.
Of course. So that decision, wasn't based on solely that one argument. There
Mhm.
was multiple times before that where Jeff had spoken to me that way, where we had like been like separated in the villa. Like it wasn't like a one-time thing where I just was like, all right, this is my time, like I'm leaving. And I hate that. I think I'm very fortunate that a lot of people like read into our conversation and were like, it doesn't seem like this was like a one-time thing and she just left. But
Right.
there are those people that do think that are like, see, she never liked him. Like they had one argument and she dipped. Like, no, we had several arguments. It wasn't one argument that just ended our relationship.
Mhm.
There was jealousy with other islanders. There was insecurities. Like that's why I say that in that conversation. That just doesn't come out of nowhere, like I don't just bring that up and I'm like, you're insecure. Like, no, I would never do that. It's a lot of things that happened during our stay at the villa that I haven't watched the show. So I'm
Mhm.
just going to put that out there. I have no idea what's shown. I know that we're portrayed like very, very happy, and that is all accurate. Like everything. It's not like they're making up what they're showing.
Mhm.
That all happened. There was just, I think, another side of it that maybe wasn't highlighted that it did happen. Um, and so it was like multiple things that led to that decision. And I think that last fight was just like, I think I had kind of enough, and I had hated like the comment he made about like me and Timmy, like, oh, that's what you want in bed. Like, and like just him, like, that was just like over the top for me. I just didn't like the whole confrontation. I didn't like that he said I didn't try to comfort him when like I didn't have time to comfort him. Like,
Right.
he got pulled away to calm down. Like it was like a lot went down. It wasn't just like that fight happened, something else happened, and then we were at the stairs. There was like it's a 24-hour day in a 45-minute span. They can't show everything that goes on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think they did a great job of trying like to illustrate it in the best way they could, like the series of events that led to my decision, but there was stuff missing.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the chance to comfort Jeff. Like I didn't go out of my way to comfort Timmy. All he was passing by me and I was just saying, I'm sorry for what happened. Like I wasn't saying like taking his side, or I was just apologizing because I felt bad. Like I felt bad about everything. And you could tell how uncomfortable I was. And it wasn't that I wasn't sticking up for Jeff, because I agreed with a lot of the things Jeff said. I just think his delivery and the way he went about it was wrong. And I'm not going to stand up and be like, I think what he did was right, when I didn't agree with that. I agreed with what he said, but I didn't agree with the delivery.
100%. And I mean, as you mentioned, there were some things that we, of course, didn't get to see of your relationship. There's so much going on in the villa that we can't see everything. But I think it just really speaks to your decision that you guys were in the final four couples. Like you could have ridden this all the way to the finale, but you decided to put yourself first in that decision. And I commend you for that. I think you guys did have a turning point with the Casa Amor situation. We got to see a lot of that, your relationship with Nick. Looking back on that now, do you have any regrets about how the situation played out, how you guys did end up reconciling after that, anything like that?
I mean, of course. I mean, like I did not know going into Casa Amor how Jeff felt about me. Like that was never established between us. And I think that's like maybe like what the public didn't grasp at the time is like he had never sat me down and been like, I'm all about you. Like, no. He had
Mhm.
kind of made it seem like to me, like, yeah, I know you kind of were feeling Isaiah. Like, do you like we'll just be like buds. Like, I'm here for you if you need anything. Like, I like, so it wasn't like I really like you. If Casa Amor were to happen tomorrow, I would just completely like be all in. So going into Casa Amor, like I came to Love Island to find a connection. That was I didn't come to like just sit around and be single like while there's all these couples around me. Like at the end of the day, like you have to think of it like you are there to find a connection. So I took Casa Amor as like, dang, like, me and Jeff like had kissed the night before, and I was like, I felt like there was something there, but like I can't say that one kiss solidifies the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. I had to put myself first and be like, there's just no way he's not thinking the same way I am.
Right.
And everyone there, like all the girls were like, oh yeah, Jeff's gonna come back with someone. Like Jeff's gonna come back with someone. I was like, he's 100% gonna come back with someone, like no doubt in my mind. So of course I wanted to take the opportunity to give one of these guys a chance, and like see if there was a connection there. And like when I met Nick, like I liked him. I really liked his smile. He was just like easy to talk to. He was like fun, and like I don't know what is shown, obviously. And like I'm very indecisive. I'm a very indecisive person. I can be wishy-washy. So if that's how I'm portrayed, like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, that's wrong. Cause I'm like a heat of the moment person. Like if I feel something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love him. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, wait,
Right.
why was I doing that? And I think that's what happened with Nick. I was just like, it was like heat of the moment. I was like, he's cute. Like I'm interested. He's easy to talk to. He compliments me all the time. And he was all about me. And he made it very known to me. Like he was like, I like you. My eyes are on you. Like there's no other girl here I have a connection with like you. And he vocalized that to me. Jeff hadn't done that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, like the moment I was like, okay, like I like this guy. I really like him. He gives me butterflies. He makes me feel some type of way. And so I pursued that. And then I see Jeff come in single, and I was like devastated. Like it was devastating. And it just made me feel like I was like, whoa, And I think what people don't realize is that's what Casa Amor is like intended to do. It's either intended to like make you realize like, oh dang, like I actually really like this person, or it's intended to be like, I didn't really like this person. Like I like who I'm with. And as soon as I saw Jeff, I knew, like I was like, that's who I want to be with. And it sucked because I felt so bad for Nick, because I had just brought him in. I had told him I liked him. I was like pursuing him, I didn't think there was really like anything going on with me and Jeff. So I'm like, just, it sucks. Like I have one guy that's so sweet and so nice and cares about me so much that I basically just let on. And then I have Jeff who just walked in single, and I'm like, oh my God, that's who I want to be with, So it just really put me like in a really tough spot.
Yeah. And I mean, everything worked out. I feel like everything works out for a reason too. And, you were, I guess, meant to be with Jeff in that latter part of your experience. And, walking away from it, I don't know how you guys are going to reconcile if you are. But I mean, that was just part of your story. And it was interesting to watch as a viewer, of course. And, on the topic of, maybe regrets or looking back on certain things, I wanted to know, like in general, maybe outside of Casa Amor, do you have any regrets about any part of your experience?
I mean, my biggest regret is, I guess, crying over Isaiah because everyone hated me for that.
It seems like that was months ago. Like I can't even, like that you and Isaiah had that thing. It's wild how Love Island works.
No, like it was so funny because I came back and like was flooded with positivity, and like I had a lot of people like on my side. But it was so funny because I talked to my friends and they were like, girl, yeah, you have that now. But they were like, people hated you at first. And I was like, why? And they were like, because you were crying about Isaiah. And I was like, man, like I regret that. Like I just regret, I guess, like going after him in the first place, because I don't think people realize that I was crying about how overwhelmed I was. Yeah. I wasn't crying necessarily, like of course, like that just added to the overwhelming factor, but I was so overwhelmed walking in there. Like you're a bombshell. You're intended to turn a head. Like that's basically your role going into the villa. You have these cliques being formed. You have like the girls are already so close. Like if you piss one of them off, you piss all of them off. And it was like I was walking into that overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I think people don't realize that a lot of my frustration and a lot of my tears were coming from that, not just like, oh my God, like Isaiah, like I want him. So no, like there's a lot that isn't shown. Like the beginning of that conversation was me being like, I'm so overwhelmed. That's when I start crying. And then Isaiah gets brought into the conversation. So,
Yeah.
a lot isn't shown and that sucks. So I think my biggest regret is, I guess, just liking him.
Oh my gosh, looking back, it's so funny that even like happened, like with everything that worked out as it did. And it's so funny that you mentioned that too, because I think it's something that people don't really realize is all of these other outside factors affecting your experience. I mean, you're also on a TV show. It's overwhelming in and of itself, I can only imagine. So, I mean, I commend you though on your journey and how you handled things though, because I think it was great to watch. And I liked that you took matters into your own hands, especially with Jeff and after everything that happened. So yeah, thank you so much for, taking the time and giving me and the readers, some insight into what was going on, because as we mentioned, we don't see everything, but I think this gave a bigger picture as to what was going on. So it'll be helpful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. And I will be rooting you on outside of the villa. And, thank you so much for taking the time. And I'll be looking forward to what you do next.